thought I'd make a video and talk about something a little bit different. This is going to be about my trip to Alaska 5 years ago. And was it 5 years? No, wait, I was 33. No, I was 34. 33 years old, 34 when I got there. I turned 34 when I got to Seattle. But anyway, it's about 7 years ago I was in Alaska. I talked about Valdez being one of the most, it was like Mortal Kombat. Like I got to Mortal Kombat. You ever seen the movie when they go to Thailand where the mountains are covered like moss and you're like in this sort of like beachy sort of area, but like this tropical kind of mystical island scenery area? That's exactly what it looked like. But there was snow on the other side, these huge, massive mountains. I mean, it was a spectacular view, such a spectacular view. It's one of my memorable experiences that I remember when I got there. When I got there, it was remarkable. It was just. It was one of those visits that, out of all the places, Alaska was such an experience of wilderness, and just I felt like it was one of the best places you could ever go to for just the different habitat, wild scenery, and you get a really sense of the earth that we live in, this place that we live at. That it has its almost own organism of a life of its own. But when I got to Palmer for stayed there for a couple nights, and I did stay over at Valdez. I stayed there for about 3 days, but anyway, I want to talk about something else that's even more powerful. And I don't know if this was ever caught on camera. I'm pretty sure I made camera footage of it. It's a long time ago. But I rode my bicycle literally in a full square circle. And I literally rode my bike from I left the house at 10 o'clock. I didn't get back until about 8 o'clock that night. I mean, it was 10 hours, 9 to 10 hours I was riding that fucking bike. Non-stop in a full fucking... I made a couple pit stops, like I stopped by, got something to drink, stopped by, used a restroom I think once, and stopped by I think maybe, I don't know if I did, I stopped by a medical, that was a different medical visit, but I went in a full square of nearly a full square of entire Anchorage, and I stopped by this beach, decided to keep riding my bike in a full circle just to get the full scenery on the outside. And I was on my bike by this time about 6 hours. And I'm going to say it was somewhere near the airport, I think, or getting close to the airport, or somewhat there. And I recall riding this bicycle. Have you ever seen the movie City of Angels? You see Meg Ryan go like this. I did that with my bicycle. There's all these sort of fluffy cotton little hairs floating, cotton balls are floating in the air, and just kind of look at a flurry of snow. It was very beautiful. It was such beautiful weather, and I knew that I needed to start heading home because I was going to start getting too tired. I needed to have some fuel to get back to the house. I was already pushing it, and I decided to make one more stop. And I decided to go into this, following this road, and way down the road I get to this just a trail, peaceful, nothing but clean ass road, and nothing but wooded area. It's kind of dreamy for a quick bike ride. And it turns into real gravel and smooth concrete. And we're doing some construction in the first stretch of it. And then it turns around the corner and I keep going. And I'm not really thinking, because you can't see any of the beaches the entire time, but one section of it, I was able to stop by and see a beach, and it went out pretty far. And you could see some boats and stuff, some harbors, the harbor area. And I recall that I went to, I kept riding my bike, and so by this time there's no trail of me being, I don't even think I have, my phone doesn't even tell me correctly exactly what the scenery is on there. And this is totally by random and guess. I'm literally at this point, I'm just taking roads and and just taking guesses to where it's going to take me. Not thinking that where it's going to lead me to. And I'm riding my bicycle, and I mean, I rode this bicycle to the ground. I mean, I rode it to the fucking ground. I mean, this bicycle, when I got back, I mean, I feel like I had to buy this guy another bike when I got done with it, because I wore it down bad. I mean, I put some miles on that bike, and I'm traveling, and it turns into sort of a kind of gravelish road. No, it didn't turn into a gravelish road. I noticed that to my left, there's a big chain, and all of a sudden there's this sort of just open wooded area, and then the grass is all mulched like dirt bicycle road. And there's no reason, there's no stores, there's no nothing that gives me any sign that there's going to be anything about what I'm going to see. In fact, way down the street, about 100 yards, there's just construction vehicles there and an open sort of grass, there's woods area. Everything is covered for you to be able, you can't see any ocean, you can't see water, beaches, or you even think you're even close enough to. Even if you went toward that area, you would walk hours and still wouldn't reach it. So I'm riding my bike, and I don't know if I saw somebody trying to jump over the fence or not from a far distance, and I don't know if they were closing it up or something. Anyway, this person took off, and I wait until they leave. I saw them, and I waited until they leave, or I didn't see anybody, or I was hoping nobody was going to see me, even if there wasn't nobody there. And it said "keep out," and it had a big chain all the way across. Decided to grab this chain, and you know what's over here, and it goes into this wooded area like it's some sort of secret passage. It does. I mean, at this point, it feels like a voyage. It feels like very adventurous, because I don't know where I'm going. This is taking me somewhere, but obviously you can tell the road has been paved somewhere. And I take a right, and I'm walking I walk 30 yards, and it's very clean cut on the ground. Obviously you can tell it's been paved. And I don't know, it was bulldozers, I'm thinking maybe just clean out just for more construction on the way down. But all the wooded area on the sides are really untouched at all. All of it looks very untouched. I look to rode my bicycle carrying it, because I can't ride the bike on this dirt because it just digs into the ground, so I have to walk and sort of push my bike. And I look to my right after the 30 yards, and I can see how it keeps going, and then it turns right. And then it has a corner curve to the right, and it just keeps going. But there's nothing that I can even come close to think what I'm going to see. And I see this open area, and I walk in there, and I don't know if I saw some four-wheelers, or I saw like a little circle patch of maybe people were doing some dirt bikes. Oh, okay, but I just kind of look, and I just keep going. But this ground that I'm going on I don't know anything about dirt bikes at all. And there's not any signs that I'm looking at the ground that this is going to happen. So I'm walking, and I turn. And as soon as I turn in and I look, it was like something I know that I don't think I will ever experience. I never did experience in my life, in my youth at least, that's for sure. It was like an Indiana Jones adventure, wild, off the charts for me. Because I was not only so exhausted by this point and been going to all these places on my bike, and I was like, I saw this like broken old 1940s house I was going to think about going into. I was going to break into it, but just kind of take a tour. But I was like, I probably shouldn't. No, I think I'll go this way. And I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just taking left and right and see whatever I can find. And but anyway, I get there, and all of a sudden it just opens up. And I'm telling you, it was like just dense wood, and it was like you just walk into this place, and it just like, and it opened up, and I looked, and I'm telling you, I saw like an entire mounds of this like dirt mountains of dirt bikes where they were doing all this crazy shit. huge mountain, like a professional one, and it was on the top of on a fucking huge mountain. And as you looked, I looked to my right, there was a huge mountain of sand, beautiful, glazing sun. I looked directly ahead of me, a little bit to the left, and it looked eternal. It didn't ever stop. The distance, your eye could not reach the distance of what this was traveling to. And they just kept on going, and it was a steady field. The grass, it was mud, and I was on a huge hill, so that I could overlook everything. And it was just monumental. It was just one of those eureka moments. Like, it sort of made me feel a little bit of this afterlife feel, or this mortality, or this type of maybe those aren't the right words. More like eternity. What eternity? A symptom of real physical scenery of eternity. What it looks like, and like a sort of universal feel to it, a God feel to it, a higher power. That there has to be something else. This whatever was created. This God was magnificent, and I'm telling you, it was just like endless. And by this time, I'm 33 years old. I've been homeless, sleeping on the streets, and all this other stuff. And I don't think anybody's there. I don't know if they caught it on camera or not. But if they did, it would have been one hell of a catch on the picture camera. They saw me how my expression was and everything that led up to that. But it felt very much like a discovery of a treasure hunt. It felt like a treasure hunt, like you're going to Indiana Jones and you're like, go into these tombs and you just uncovered something that nobody in the last century. And obviously there were these mountains that people made, but it was such a paradise-looking area that it was just beautiful. It was real windy and the grass was really, really long. It was like 3 feet long, and it was just waving beautifully, like full thick hair. Like the grass is so green, rich, of thick hair, and I was there for a little while. I got to the very edge, took some pictures, rode my bike, and it was just unbelievable. It was really one of the probably most of any adventure places I've ever gone to. Because it was just literally just turning left and right and see whatever treasure hunt you kind of go for and find. But it was, I stayed there for about, I think, 30 minutes before all of a sudden I looked behind me, and all of a sudden there was a group of kids that showed up. I think they were in their 20s. They were older than teens. I would say in their early 20s, 19 to early 20s. And I remember seeing this beautiful blonde girl, like light-colored hair, blonde, just very sort of angelic, running and playing on the sand with these other friends, and they were just having a peaceful time. Like it was, I saw a couple Africans, and I guess they all knew each other, but they were all sort of just playing. And are just like running in the sand and doing cartwheels. And I remember feeling. You ever hear that? I've heard this from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He said in this sort of poem, something about what more rich of a sound could you hear from the children that are having an enjoyment on a playground and having fun and being children. The sound of children playing on the, like if you were just to silence everything and even just to look away and be thinking about something, not visually looking at the playground where children are playing, and just listen to the sound of children just enjoying themselves, and you don't really pick up those sounds. And the sounds of enjoyment, peace, family, connection, all these harmonizing human sounds isn't very common sound, but it's a very peaceful one, because it's a peaceful where parents, kick back and relax, so the kids go run off and do their thing, right? But it's that that sort of sound familiarity is what I got of like when you hear about like something like it was heaven-like. It was sort of like trailing to that very heavenly-like sound, heavenly-like scenery. And I just remember they were just like they were all just playing. They were just having a great time, like just just living, just being alive. And like it felt like we were all in a different world. I mean, I'm not trying to like I'm not going into this whole psychic or paranormal bullshit. It felt like we were sort of in a different world, like maybe heaven could have existed. Heaven does. But whatever it is that we're experiencing right now, and there was a couple people, I think, walking and just talking and joking. Whatever allowed for any of this happiness to even exist and be expressed also had to have created something else very similar that had a heightened effect somewhere else. Because it was created for something. It was created for a reason, like the sense of joy and happiness. That there had to have been some other thing that created it. That, well, why not? If you created how pleasant this sound, why wouldn't you want to create something even better? And I do remember the light, really light complexion. She kind of looked like Kaylee Spades. I know she's a porn star. I saw her at the porn convention. It looked a lot like her, but she was a lot more skinnier and I'd say about 3 or 4 more inches taller. But she was actually a lot taller. She was about 4 or 5 inches, 5, 6 inches taller. But just the same hair, same complexion, almost an eye color, and long hair. And I do remember that. I remember there were some people that showed up. I think there was a group of African people that showed up afterwards. They showed up afterwards, so I don't know if they were students. They could have been high school students. But I think there were 19, anywhere from 18 to 23 years old, early college students. So that is exactly what was going on. That's what was going on, and it was something that was just very, very magical. It was because I had gotten so tired, and at that moment I was also thinking to myself, I was pushing it too much. I was like, this is kind of getting to the danger zone where I don't know, where I can push my body so much. It's probably not the best that I'm going into overdrive, where a lot of the times that I've never really reached too many times in my life, where it's not like you don't have the energy, but you run on a fear that you just need to get to the place that you're getting to, and that's the fear that drives you, to get you there. It isn't like I got enough feeling, I'm weak and tired, and your body collapses. No, it's like the fear then turns into some sort of energy that drives you there, that you're gonna get to your destination without an arm. Like, you're gonna get there. But I thought I'd make a video on that. That was pretty I was thinking about it. I totally forgot about that. I really thought about Valdez quite a bit, but that was one of those situations where it just opened up. Like, I don't know how to express it. Like, it was just all green and woods, and it was like I walked into you walk into a jungle, and all of a sudden you just like uncover the mystery pyramids of the treasuring gold that the Incas left behind, and no one's ever discovered it. It sort of felt like that a little bit. Like you go into this place and all of a sudden it just opens up. Because what I looked in such clear skies, and it had a little bit of clouds, and the wind and how it was drifting, and how the layers of the sand and dirt, because the entire cliff that I was on, mountain of just thick grass, and then it just drops, and it's all covered in thick, like 3-foot grass, and then it turns like that, and then it's nothing but more grass, and then it's like 300 yards of like fucking just mud. Like just mud. There's no sand, and then farther deep, and then it turns into water. And then I don't even think that I don't even remember, I don't even think it turned into the ice site where it eventually turned into just all solid deep water. It was just all like thick mud. And it was just a weird scenery that you don't see often. So there was no ocean water that was like splashing or anything. It was just, I'm not sure what causes that. It could have maybe looked kind of like a thick mudslide happened for so much time, but the vegetation was so rich and thick and nutrient that it made the side of the mountains like just full of just green grass. But anyway, I got there. And yeah, it was such a memorable experience. Never experienced. There's a few other places that I can think of, but I had to, not too many other places that I could go to. I went, in Colorado, just literally running, making my own trails and shit, and getting cut up pretty bad with the thorns. But other than that, yeah, there's a few places. I still remember when I was in Colorado Springs and I climbed up the mountain and they had, it looks like two camels that are kissing, and they call it camel kiss or some shit. I don't know. I remember some old people told me about it. And I got up to the mountain and I talked about that I could hear something that was moving, and I thought it was like a ghost or something. It was this sacred Indian ground. It was one of the weird experiences because I looked around and it was one of those instances where I thought maybe there was some existence of paranormal, which is one of the weirdest places. Because I want to say that there was nothing like just the scenery. There was no grass to cover up any insects or animals, and bushes were moving. It's weird. But anyway, and I think I heard a few things. It was a very weird location, but yeah, I remember go up on the mountain, and I was eventually going to go up on the mountain. They had a train that takes you up to the highest peak. The guy that looks like George Bush's brother or son, I don't know, but he said there was a, and it's supposed to be really good, and I was going to take it, but I was like, maybe I'm going to save my money and do some other time. But I went there. Yeah, didn't go there, but I went to a few other mountains and snow, and then I got to Denver. But yeah, it's always a lot of fun. And one of the other instances where I went on sort of this Indiana Jones kind of feel to it was when I got to Hawaii. I don't know how much of the camera caught any of it, but I was walking on this trail 40 minutes, and you had to jump over the fence, and I jumped over the fence. And it says stay out, but like even to get to this fence, I was walking for like 2 hours, and I mean it was so weird because like there's a road that takes you deep into these wooded areas, and then like just the way that it's built, you're not really, at least I wouldn't expect anything of it, and then there's this fence that just shows up, and it just says cave out, and so I jump over the fence and I keep going. And sure enough, when I get to there, I come across this ancient civilization. This was a real life ancient civilization. Real life. They had the real tepee, the real statues, and these sacred stones. And it looked like it had been untouched. There was a lot of moss and a lot of like, it was completely closed off to the public for a very long time. I don't know who closed it off. I saw some ancient like stacks of wood. I mean, this looked like this came from a long, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, like 600-700 years ago. And they look like carved faces out of stone, and I'm not kidding you, it looked like an Indiana Jones site. This was a for real Indiana Jones site. Like I get to this place, and I was like, and I look, and I'm like, this place could have some sort of fucking booby trap curse when I get here. But I just went in and looked around, see these areas, and you could tell that everyone was. It didn't look like a tourist place where people were going to. It just looked closed off, and it was hidden deep into the woods, deep. And that was one of those experiences too. You know, I only took a few pictures, and I didn't want to take so many because I was afraid that I was posting on the internet, and then they'd like, oh, get that guy, he's over at the fucking, he's over at the, Temple of Doom, area, you're gonna arrest him. But I think I remember a couple photos and pictures and walked around by myself for a good 40 minutes, and I was already tired by that time. Then I left there and jumped back over the fence and it took me another 2 hours just to even get out of that area, and then I get to a place where, okay, there's some, somewhat of an area where civilization is and some sidewalks, or some regular streets at least, and then get to the sidewalks after walking a little bit from there on the regular streets. But yeah, that was another adventure. But much of these things I don't even remember very much, but they're very fun when I'm going through them. I'm at this point in my life, I know it's kind of off the subject a little bit. I'm very grateful that I don't have to work. It is an extraordinary blessing and mandatory, I believe, that is, if God gave me the ability, even if I did get cancer and HIV positive, I'm not spending 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day at a job, where a lot of people have to do that. And they have to go to work for 9 hours, 8 hours a day. And they have to work, and they have to work, and they have to work. And there is no break. And, the way that I understand that now that this has been going on is that any time that I absolutely have free time is to utilize that time the best that I can to make it as if I did have a job. I know a lot of people I've come across that were some of the laziest people you could ever imagine. They just wanted to have a good time in life. For me, I'm planning to have like an 8 o'clock hour shift of building ships, with like Jesus and angels and all that stuff. Like I am working at a full-time job, 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. So it's not me watching TV. It's not me having a good time and partying. No, I'm working. No, and it's labor too. So that I'm doing something. I'm not one of these people. I'm along with these people too. I know how that is. You have people out there working for, 12, picking up 12-hour shifts. I personally wouldn't have a problem with. I feel so much for some reason, like if I was working on an oil rig, or I was working, which is something I've always kind of wanted to do, is work on an oil rig, go work on the oil mines out in the ocean, and work a 15-hour shift, and get used to working that type of long hours. Because not only you make good money, but I know that it wouldn't bother me. There is a comfort of working, that you physically work hard for that many of hours, you get to work, you make good money. Some people don't, and you're not doing anything else but that. I know it sounds kind of slavery, kind of torment to a lot of people, but for me, I don't know, it just doesn't, because I feel like a laborer. So, there's a lot of people that don't make a lot of money, and they're working, it doesn't matter, they're working 9-hour shifts, they're working, at least 8 hours a day, 9-hour shifts, they're working at a job, they don't have very many opportunities to do a lot of the things, and the fact that I'm not, regardless if I'm on disability, doesn't change the fact that what I went through in my life wasn't worth it. It was a lot of pain and suffering. It wasn't a freeloading like I knew other people that did throughout their entire life. But for me, it was, that if I'm lucky enough to have this for the rest of my life, I could only be alive for the next 10 years, if that. HIV positive and already cancer diagnosis, and I wasn't able to ever work out. There's a lot of things that I wasn't ever able to do in my life. Go to school, nothing. So people, do I feel that people hate me because I'm living like this? Not really, because they just don't even understand. They want to try to complain to me. what level of shit that they've gone through compared to what I had to go through, because there was an opportunity. So a lot of these people they have opportunity, they just don't even take it. But like I said, in the circumstances is to make sure that if God had given me a position, even if I am alive today with HIV, after going cancer, and I can possibly live another 10 years, is to absolutely make it as hardworking and as responsible as I can. If I can't go lift weights anymore, that's fine. And I'm going to be building boats for family and friends that are spiritually inclined, doing something with that, or not trying to play piano for 7 hours a day, or doing something, but it won't be watching TV and necessarily playing video games. For me at this point, money isn't something that I'm looking forward to at all. I'm too old. The time has already passed by. I'm spending any money that I do get only going to destinations honoring my mother and father, and only going to places I'm going to be going to Jerusalem. I'm going to be going to the Vatican. I'm going to be going to Spain, to visit this Don Justo, to look at this church he built over the last 50 years, 60 years by himself. It's something that just honors my mother and father spiritually. It helps those who are paying attention can give something to these people because it's not me, hey, I'm going to go surfing and do whatever the hell I want, have a good time. So, it looks like the battery's running low. So anyway, I'm going to take advantage, use this time very wisely. So it's, very busy, and looking forward to hopefully pushing family spiritually in the right direction, because I can't do it for them.